Do you have an attitude problem? I bet you do. We all have a particular attitude about one thing or another thing or other, just random stuff. But we also have attitudes in general, and attitudes kind of make it who we are. But we're going to talk about, is the wrong attitude showing? How much of an effect does that attitude of yours have on your life, on what you're trying to do, what successes you're trying to get, things like that. So we're going to be talking about that today on episode number 111 of The Relaxed Male. Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, a podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. All right, so we're talking about attitudes today, but before we actually jump into that, I want to tell all the new folks who have come in, all the new listeners, all those folks who've just gotten kind of curious and maybe have been awarded a recommendation from a friend about one particular episode from the Relaxed Male. Maybe they've been sharing episodes out, and you've gotten one copy of it and you're like, okay, this is interesting. Let's see what else is going on. I want to welcome you personally, man. You are a new guy, and this is a show that helps men get that nice guy that's inside of them, evict them, get them kicked to the curb, tell them to never come back. Just go take a hike, pound sand, whatever you want to call it, and to step into their masculinity. And to become the men that their family, their wives, their kids, their neighborhood, their society actually needs. Because, man, we need some masculinity, good, healthy shot of masculinity. We've got so many people who are just screaming that being a man is wrong. And the people who are coming around trying to tell men how to be men are the same people that like to tell men they don't know how to talk. They don't know what they're talking about when they talk about women. So it's funny how the double standard happens. But anyhow, wanted to talk today about your attitude and what that means. And there's a good bit of information about when it comes to what your attitude is and how that attitude actually will set you on the path of success or set you on the path of failure and just struggle and heartbreak and heartache and everything else that's not quite good. And it all depends on what your attitude is. Maybe a lot of times, you may be right these days, you may be going to work and you're not getting promotions. You're not getting things, not getting the pay that you like. You're sitting there just grumbling. You've got this, you got this bad attitude about you may have bad attitude about the government. You may have bad attitude about your employer. You're broke all the time because you may be having a bad attitude about what money actually means. You have your marriage is crumbling. Maybe you've started out and had a wonderful marriage, but it's just getting cruddier and cruddier. There's not much connection. There's not a whole lot of love, a whole lot of kissing, not a whole lot of sex or any of that is actually going on. And it may be because you may end up having the attitude of, well, she just doesn't care about this marriage. She's interested in somebody else. You've got this attitude of something's wrong with that marriage. Maybe you just feel alone. Nobody likes you. Nobody cares for you. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're going to eat some worms type of thing. And again, a lot of that can just absolutely be because of the attitude. These problems, these stories that you tell yourself and the attitude that reflects from that story is a lot of where the problem is, because you can have two guys in the exact same boat and one has a great positive attitude about what's going to happen to them. Maybe they're stuck out at sea. He has the attitude of to find a way of surviving this. We're going to find a way of getting to an island, getting to finding another boat down in the middle of the ocean, which is, next to impossible, but still he's got that. And the other guy is like, oh, well, why should we even try? I mean, we're going to die anyhow, so might as well just jump into the water. Those attitudes can determine whether you make or break it. And you can stay that way if you want. I mean, your attitude is your attitude. You can decide, you know what, I'm going to keep this attitude. I like it. It serves me well. All right. Well, fine. I know several old, grumpy, crusty old men who just, they grumble about absolutely everything. They have bad attitude about everything, and you can't get them to change their mind. And they are miserable. But apparently they like to be miserable. They want to be set back and be considered the grumpy old man. But the effects of that attitude can be numerous. You might wind up having a very small, if any, community that you can actually look to and rely on. If you're wondering, why you don't have any friends, well, it might just be your attitude on what people are. People suck. People are horrible. People do nothing but annoy me. Well, guess what? People are going to, when you have an attitude like that, then a lot of people are going to come along and they're going to irritate the crap out of you. That's the only way. That's the way it's going to be, because you've told yourself, you've set that attitude, you've set that programming into motion that you are not liked. You may try to tell yourself, oh, well, I'm a likable guy. I just don't know why people don't like me. Well, it's probably because you keep telling yourself that nobody likes you. And so you're going to pull the instances of where you can drive people away. You're going to cause that to come about. You've got a business that's failing. Well, do you have the attitude of, well, I'm just being cheated by the suppliers, or the competition's not doing the stuff fair. It's not being, it's horrible dog eat dog world. You may have this attitude of why your business is failing. You may make up all these excuses, and these excuses make that attitude of where you're going to end up having less business. And again, I've mentioned marriage before. Marriage, if your attitude is that your marriage sucks, well, guess what? Your attitude's going to reflect what your marriage is. So you can change your attitude. A good example of this is just I can tap into my own experience. Past 10 years or so, my marriage was okay. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't stupendous. We weren't having, incredible levels of connection, and we weren't, sex was very few and far between. I mean, there was times where it'd be 6 months between nookie time. And I had the attitude of being frustrated. I had the attitude of being, resentful. I had the attitude of, well, she doesn't want it. There's something wrong with her. I had all that attitude. That attitude was in place. And if you ever had those mental arguments with people where in your head you or just having a fight with somebody and you're just dressing them up and down. You're just blah, 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 you're ripping them a new one. You're throwing every possible point you could possibly think of to them, and they have no comeback. I would have those. And it would be from anything with my wife, from anything from finances to sex itself. And it was, that whole set of arguments was where I won, and I degraded her mentally, in my head. I got around to realizing it's reflecting itself. Why am I not having a good marriage? Well, because I'm telling myself that my marriage is going downhill. And last couple of years, I have actually made the effort to start changing that. I've started realizing that I've got, first off, even in mental arguments, and it's a really interesting effect, man, to try this. If you ever find yourself having problems with your wife, and you find that you are doing a lot of those mental arguments, and you're just wanting to just dress her up and down, let her win in those mental arguments. She's not going to know she won. It's all in your head, man. but it does change your external attitude. And it's wild because you start viewing her in a different way. Maybe you think that she is, she's cold, she's frigid, to use an old fashioned term. And because y'all don't have sex hardly anymore. There's attitude changes that you can make. Stop looking at porn, for one, because believe it or not, you're turning to the easy shit. That's what that is. That's just easy stuff. You can just easily just turn it on and just look at it, get your rocks off and go about your day. Except for the fact that you're now not applying any type of romancing onto your wife. You're not trying any type of seduction on your wife. You're, kind of like in Something About Mary, the scene right before the scene where he's in the bathroom. He's talking to one of his friends, and Ben Stiller's character is being told, first couple dates, beat off before you go on the date. That way you think more like a woman. And it leads to, a funny yet gross outcome. And that is the problem that you have. Because, you start kind of thinking like a woman, and you're trying to woo your wife while just by not having that particular end in mind. And because of that, your ability to score goes down. You're not going to win your wife over into having her clothes fall off for you. It's not going to happen. You've got to work for it, and it's going to be a lot of work. And especially if you've had a while where y'all not had a very good close connection, then guess what? It's going to take you time to build that trust back up that you are actually taking the efforts to change. Because if you're just taking saying, she's got to be the one that changed. Well, guess what? Then you're not going to change. And why should she change if you're not going to change? One of you folks has got to be the adult and make the first step. If you're the one that's wanting to change, then why don't you be the one who goes ahead and makes the change? Change that attitude of yours. Change what you're looking at. And because of that, mine and my wife's relationship has actually started improving, becoming better, and we're getting a better connection. We're talking more about finances without getting into arguments. We're starting to sit and watch movies again, which is something there for about a year or so we stopped doing. We didn't sit down and watch very many movies, but now we've gotten our Saturday night movie routine starting to creep back in. These are wonderful things that happen. All because I wanted to change my attitude. And I changed my attitude as to what my marriage was, what my attitude was about how it was becoming. It was going to become a great thing. The attitude change that you make reflects out, because we do show our attitudes. And those teenagers, if you have any teenagers, they'll cop attitude and quit copping attitude with me, and they're, I'm not copping attitude. Well, yeah, actually you can. And it's something you don't see because you think it's just something in your head, but it's not. It's something that shines through. It's an energy that you give off. And so that attitude affects all those people around you. So changing your attitude will cause people to actually see you differently. I have a client that I talked to, and, he was kind of known around his work area as kind of the grump. And he did one thing differently. He started going out of his way to tell everybody, good morning. How are you? And people have started looking at him differently because he actually is changing his attitude. He's like, I don't want to be that grump anymore. I want to be that guy who, he gets his crap done. And he gets it done, gets it down the road. But he also wants to start trying to become a person of leadership. And so he's actually asking questions, purposely stepping into people's lives instead of thinking that people are in general lazy and no good. They're actually just people who are living their lives. And you can change that attitude and you will see the real differences in people's actions and demeanors towards you. Now, people will also start to look at you as a leader, not as a hindrance. A lot of times, if you've got a bad attitude and you're going to just be sitting there just grumbling about everything and shooting everybody's ideas down, well, they're not going to come to you with any ideas. Instead, they're not going to share much with you. And especially if you're the boss and you're trying to get things going and people have some ideas that they want to share, well, they're not going to share them with you. So things aren't going to get done very well. So you're not going to be a very good leader. You're going to be more of a hindrance more than anything. So start making those changes so that if you want to be a better leader, then you're going to have to change your attitude. Yeah, you may have all the reasons and evidence in your mind that people are crap, people are no good, the businesses are rigged, that society is set against you, that police hate particular people, that the rich are out to eat the poor and the poor is out to eat the rich. You can have all those thoughts, but it's all they are. They're thoughts. They are attitudes that are not true. And a lot of these thoughts that we have are actually attitudes from people who have bad attitudes. You look at the way that school is being set up against boys, and you see that their attitude shines through that, boys are nothing more than broken girls, instead of the fact of seeing boys as being a boy and a girl being a girl. No, there's a huge, vast difference between the two. And to be able to make a difference between the two, you have to actually treat them differently. And it's not an apartheid or a segregation or a preference between one or the other. It's just no. Girls inherently like to sit in very close, tight-knit groups. And boys are very much more rough and tumble. And we learn our values through our ways of play and the ways that we learn. Boys learn more hands-on, more active oriented, while girls can sit for a long while and focus on what the teacher's talking about. But we see the people starting to change, trying to force boys, and this caused the whole, gender dysphoria thing, because, they're thinking now that you can change a boy's demeanor by and attitudes and stuff by interacting with them when they're born up to about 4. And it's like, no. we've seen evidence of quite the opposite, that boys are the actions that boys take are more of a hormonal effect, but they have the attitude that they know what's right, and so they keep pushing. And so the men, we need to start stepping up and saying, with the attitude of, we know what's right. How do you change out that attitude? If you've got a bad attitude, how do you change that up? Well, first off, start taking responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your reactions to different things. Catalog those. Decide, hey, this is something that I definitely don't like. This is not serving me. This is not helping me. This isn't helping my team. I need to drop this. I need to change the attitude. Is it going to be an instant change? Oh, no. It's not far from an instant change, but you start making the effort. You're going to start getting that. You're going to start making steps towards having that new attitude. Anytime you check yourself and you find you're back in the old attitude of people are dumb and are just lazy, no good pieces of crap, well, then you can change your mind and change what you're thinking and go back to, no, people are good. They're just working. They're doing what they can. People are being people. If you're an employee and you think that the company is out just to take advantage of you and use you up and victimize you, well, change it around. Start working that job with the mindset that you own it, that you are a very small, but you're an integral part of the ownership of this company. Own your job, because in all reality, when it comes to work, you're an employee, yes, but you are providing a service for another company. So you are actually incorporated. So start treating your job as you incorporated, as you own your job. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And so you do it to the best of your ability. You'll see your attitudes and your bosses change. Yeah, they may still not go off and give you a pat on the back or a pat on the butt and go, "You're doing good, boy. That here, how about an extra $100,000 a year?" No, they're not going to do that. But you will start getting recognition. That recognition will follow down the road. You have an attitude towards your wife, and change it. Change it to where the same attitude that you had back when y'all dated. If you can remember that back that far, what it was like when y'all were dating, change that, have that attitude again. If you have an attitude that your kids are, don't like the family, don't want to be a part of family events and things like that, well, change it to where, change the attitude of the family to where the kids can be proud of the family. You start having attitude, that you're going to be successful, then guess what? You're going to be successful. Your attitude is the key. You can have an attitude and it be a good attitude. And because you have that good attitude, you're going to have a lot more people be a lot more open to being with you, especially if your attitude is one of a abundance instead of one of a scarcity. If you're trying to hoard everything, then people aren't going to want to have anything to do with you. While if you're actually giving them energy, giving them inspiration, they're going to love to come around you, and they're going to change. They're going to act a lot better towards you and towards what you're trying to do and all that. And they'll actually come in and try to help you. And you will accept that help because you have this giving attitude. If you're wanting to have help getting these attitude changes, there's a couple of different ways that you can actually do that. First off is get into a group of men, man. Find a group of men that has the attitude that you want. They hang around each other a lot. You can start hanging out with them, start talking to them, start coming to understand them, start listening to them. And believe it or not, their attitude will rub off onto you. And will start to change your line of thinking, your line of action. That's why one of the reasons why I always say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, because that's where that's that magic part that happens in a men's group. And so if you want to be in a men's group, I have a men's group. A men's group is called, the Brotherhood of Men. And this is a group of guys that we meet every week, and we just help each other to live life. If you've got problems, got issues, well, then guess what? Everybody in there is going to be trying to help you out. If you are wanting to try to start a business, well, there's probably going to be some people who can at least get you started in the direction of getting a business started. If you're having trouble with your family and and stuff like that, then guess what? These guys can help you. The masculine energy that you have inside a men's group is incredibly powerful. That fourth pillar, that men's community pillar, is one of the most important ones, and sadly one of the most disregarded and neglected pillars that us men have. And that's something I'm trying to change. And so if you're interested, you can always go over to the my men's group over at relaxedmale.com/brotherhood. And there you can actually get some more information and join up if you like. And I'd love to have you there. Price has actually been dropped. We're now, doing, $100 a month instead of, the $200. So I want to see if we can get this group, filled up and see what we can do. If, you're not really into a group setting, maybe you've told yourself you've got social anxiety and that you can't talk to, a big group of guys. All right, dude. Well, I'll help change your attitude on that also. But we'll also, by doing that, I also offer some one-on-one coaching, and you can actually go to relaxedmale.com, and up the top you'll see Work with Brian, and click on that, and it'll take you over to my one-on-one coaching page. Now, before I go, guys, I want to say thank you, but need to ask if you found anything in this podcast episode that really rang a bell. Maybe you know someone who is just like grunt butt, or just always sad, doesn't have anything really nice to say about people, or things along those lines. Send this over to them. if you know somebody who could really benefit from hearing what this podcast episode was about, send it to them. Send it to your Facebook page, Facebook group, Facebook, post it on your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Take a screenshot of it, share it on Instagram, tag me in it. I'd love to high five you, give you a shout out. And that's, I'm found over on Instagram at Relaxed Male. Facebook, The Relaxed Male. I think I've got Relaxed Male or The Relaxed Male covered just about every place, but tag me, share it out. Let guys know that there is this men's group, this show, this site that is all about men and helping men to change what their attitude is, change where their line of thinking so that they can actually start becoming successful, start wearing that masculinity, because masculinity is such a wonderful, beautiful, awesome thing that society desperately needs. We don't have enough strong men in this, in society. And if we don't have enough strong men, we're going to wind up with a weak society, and a weak society is going to bring on tyrants. And, with tyrants though, bad times create good men, strong men. So guys, with that, I'm going to let you go. Y'all take care. We'll see you next week. Until then, bye.